This is Dystopia, and this is Utopia.
Okay, so this is Dystopia, this is Utopia, so what the hell is this? Fruitopia looks like a freaking Fruit Loop.
They should have called it Fruitopia, yeah, that would have been awesome. But no, this is Pandinus.
Is he a panda? Hey guys, welcome to an episode of the A3U Review. In this episode, we are going to be doing a comparison between the new MakeToys Pandinus with two other city bots. That would be the Utopia and the Dystopia.
That's right, and then we're going to take a look at the Bad Cube Sun Surge versus the Omnigonix Spinout. I know there's been a lot of problems with the Spinout, but we still wanted to take a look at it aesthetically.
My name's Alex.
I'm Boris.
You're watching
the A3U Review.
So, what we're going to take a look at is Pandinus with a bunch of other guys in the CityBot line. And the reason why we're doing this is because, well, we know that there's a lot of reviews out there for Pandinus.
Yeah, this has been a highly anticipated figure, Alex. So there's already been a lot of reviews out there. I knew there would be. We actually had the very first, one of the very first resin prototypes. So
that's right.
Even our channel, we've looked at it probably 4 or 5 times now as it's kind of grown through the production process. One thing I felt that we haven't really done, Alex, is kind of displayed it next to the rest of the line that MakeToys has.
Yeah.
Which really shows that this is actually becoming a serious line. It's, it's one thing to come out with Utopia, and I know a lot of people shied away from it because they're like, it's a very expensive bot, and then plus it's kind of like this one-off. I don't know, it's not really a collection, but now you're starting to actually get this city bot collection to start expanding. It would be really, really amazing to see this line grow, and now you have a nice display of these large city bots. Seeing them together really is quite a grand display.
It is. It's something that I think is overlooked because maybe some people just want to get one or the other. But once you have them all beside each other, you've done something quite extraordinary, and that is there's this I don't know, when you display them like this, it creates this synergy with all the other other robots that you have that can't be done any way else. I mean, having city bots next to another city bot, that is something very, very grand and extraordinary, and that's what we've done right here.
Yeah, definitely. Even if I had one display in my house and I made this my centerpiece, it's kind of actually quite impressive. I know many people that come into the store sometimes when they see a display such as this, it's just very inspiring. And I think as reviewers sometimes we like to sit here and we like to tackle what's good, what's bad about a product, simply from the point of should you buy it based on those knocking points, instead of saying, well, what does it actually just look like on display? Is this something where someone's going to come into my house and go, I love that piece, but it looks like the ratcheting is going to be a little bit tight? Probably not. Somebody's going to seriously come in and see a display like this that you have in your house, in your office, whatever it is, and they're just going to be blown away. This will just take them back to their childhood and inspire them.
We also have these little guys here. They're from different lines, various lines, but those are one of the things that also help make a display so mind-blowing. It gives I guess your audience a sense of scale. You get to see how small these guys are compared to this guy, and then you have these two big guys next to them, and then wow, your display is essentially it's complete. Because you have the small and the big, and while they don't necessarily scale accurately, it still gives you a sense of the grand scale in the whole scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
So I think that what we've got here is something that I think some people might want to consider doing. If you have the the extra income. But displaying this by itself is one thing. Displaying Pandinus with these other city bots and these mini bots, wow, now you're taking your display to a whole other level.
And like you said, although it's not scaled accurately, and when we talk about these guys here, you got to understand that realistically these guys are like what I said, they're city bots. So, really in scale to them, other Transformers figures should be very tiny, really very tiny.
Yeah.
So it's not about scale accuracy, but it's about aesthetically just looking at it and going that this is actually looks really cool together. And we talked a lot about that part. I just want to I don't want to forget to mention what all these lines are here.
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of take time out just quickly to kind of for those that don't know all these lines. I know a lot of you guys are probably familiar with what's on table here. So that's MakeToys Pandinus, MakeToys Utopia, and MakeToys Dystopia, and of course the homages are Metroplex, Metro Titan, Scorpionaut.
Yeah.
Then when you kind of see these guys together, you realize that MakeToys is really like, as a company, really taking a big risk, but really bringing the fans something they want. And it's really interesting because at the same time, you have companies, third-party companies that are taking these huge risks and making these big, grandiose bots. And then you have companies like Iron Factory and DX9 who are going a different route. They're actually making the smallest possible scaled bots, which, at first I thought it was another one of these things where I was talking about Alex like earlier, saying when you have just one bot, it's not super duper enticing, but when you see them together, you're like, now I kind of want him. Yeah, that's sort of how the DX9 Warren Pocket started for me, and the Iron Factory. They look cool individually, but I was like, I don't know if I really want like a small, little bot. I'm already into the Masterpiece line, well into it. I have that scale. I've already been collecting the Classics / United scale. So why am I going to get into this? And now you start seeing Iron Factory and DX9 actually come out in numbers with these little guys. And once they're together, you start realizing, wow, this is actually a really cool scale. A lot of detail, a lot of great plastic that goes into it. I even put some of the Hasbro legends that kind of inspired and sparked some of this. Some of you may remember, Alex, you remember the Titan class Metroplex?
Yes.
Yeah, that thing is, just so you guys know, that scale is huge. Like, he's much larger. Yeah. And these Legends kind of series were supposed to go with that guy. And even at that, it wasn't an accurate scale. But as a playset, it actually worked really, really well. But, I don't know about you. Like, do you pull out your Legends and play with them that much? I don't.
I find that the Legends is almost like something that you put as a complement for the rest of your display.
So yeah, that's kind of how you do it. I mean, when I first got my Legends, I played around with it a little bit, but afterwards it was more of a, like you said, complement to my display. But when you display with a Masterpiece or any of the smaller scale, I feel like it looks a little bit cluttered actually. But when you see it on its own, it starts being really, really awesome. You're like all these cool like mini scaled figures that don't take up a lot of room but represent so much of the universe. It's actually really, really cool. And then I put the city bots next to him and I was like, well, even if it's not accurate, man, does this look good. Amazing. So here, I mean, I don't even have the whole line of DX9 Iron Factory represented here. If I had the whole line, it would be a massive collection right here in front.
I'll tell you, I think it's all about picking and choosing, because if I had this guy, the next guy I would pick would be this one right here.
The Hulky?
The Hulky, right? Because now you have a combiner that is smaller, and then like you can see that kind of scale when compared to this guy. And then I would also add a couple of other smaller ones like the Megatron here and this one right here, right? And that really really shows you that you can have all these different characters, but also have a bit of variation in scale, especially when you have something as huge as the Pandinus. So I think it's a great way to collect these ones, especially if you want to see see your collection in all different scales, as opposed to just one scale, which is the masterpiece line. That's the most common one, right? So I think this is really really up to you. You pick and choose. You pick what you want, and then you choose how you want to display them. So
yeah, I agree. And just to speak towards just a little bit towards the displayability of it, the city bots, this is where it gets really interesting, is the city bots right down to the small scaled Iron Factory mini bots, the legend scale, everything just articulates still so well, so you could have an infinite amount of display options, and you could change it up like infinitely, I think, and have really cool displays. You can transform them into city mode. You can transform them into Scorpion. You can transform them into city mode.
Oh boy.
You know, like, you just have so many different options than just doing the bot mode, which I have here. So that really adds to the dynamic to this. And what's really great at this point right now, for all of you guys that haven't gone out and purchased any of this, all of these figures here that you see are still pretty widely available. They're not completely done yet. So I think if there was ever a reason to get it, looking at this should be inspiration to be like, maybe I should start my CityBot collection. Right? It's actually quite awesome. I mean, me myself, I haven't actually personally got into the CityBot line, even though I love Utopia. I had the Metroplex, so I already kind of was running out of space. But when I finally brought all this into the store to just try to like fix up one of the displays in my store, I was like, oh, now I don't want to part with any of this. Kind of want it for home now. But do what you may with it. I just thought it'd be nice, to instead of critiquing every small detail, to finally be able to enjoy these lines in their entirety, because we've already gone through all the reviews. So I think between us and the hundreds of reviewers out there, this is just about enjoying it. So let's take it in. This is really quite an impressive line of bots between Iron Factory, DX9, and MakeToys. What a great idea. And seeing these lines grow. They
truly complement each other. So it's awesome that they decided to go with large scale, and other companies decided to go with small scale.
Yep, definitely. So we have the Omnigonix Spinout here, and of course we've already talked about the Sun Surge from Bad Cube. So I just kind of wanted to take a look at it from a stylistic review and just compare the two. One thing to remember is that the Bad Cube has the option of having the chrome or the brushed aluminum highlights. Whereas Omnigonix comes straight up with all of the brushed aluminum. There is no choice for chrome on that one. In terms of the styling and the coloring, I mean, what do you think, Alex? Which yellow here? I mean, there's a big difference in the yellow. Actually, one's kind of like more orangey yellow, and one's like more true to yellow. What do you think hits the mark a little bit more for the yellow?
I think that this is a very clean-looking yellow. It's very dark. It's orange. It's more orange-like. This one I kind of like more. It just feels a little bit more, I don't know, solid. There's actually two shades of them, actually. It's like orange and yellow.
Yeah, there is. It does kind of change a little bit. Overall, I think this yellow feels a little bit more accurate to me.
Yeah, for sure. This is just too orange.
Yeah, I agree. So stylistically, I mean, on a coloring level, I actually do like the Omnigonix a little bit better. I feel like he's a more accurate Sunstreaker, and even if we don't want to go with accuracy, just in terms of a design, if it feels right. Doesn't it? It feels like tall. The proportions feel like a lot more in sync.
The proportions are better compared to this. I mean, look how far that foot stand, like sticks out compared to this, right?
Yeah. Even the head sculpt, I feel like this one's a little bit cleaner and more defined.
Yeah.
He also comes with a different kind of a mask.
What's
that sort of the headgear?
What's that all about?
Well, it's a different design. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of depends on which one that you like better.
Okay.
I actually like what it comes with. I find that that's accurate for me.
Yeah.
Whereas Bad Cube has decided to have a different face sculpt to give you a little bit of a different character.
Yeah.
An expression. Overall, I think in general, if you compare the two aesthetically,
yeah.
I'm really a lot with the Omnigonix. I really like it. Even the kibble in the back, like if we look at, there's quite a bit of kibble on the Bad Cube.
Yeah.
Whereas the Omnigonix doesn't have or suffer from that same kind of deal. But unfortunately, as we saw when we were transforming it, what Omnigonix suffers from is an unfortunate deal breaker. It just wasn't QC'd that well, which is, it breaks my heart because this figure had so much promise, and even looking at it here when we started off the comparison, most people viewing from home would really appreciate probably a lot of the stylistic decisions made on the Omnigonix, but it just lacks that quality to it.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, we had a few things falling off, like the tire fell off, and this whole assembly here was kind of coming off. Not to say that you can't fix it, but you shouldn't have to fix a product that you pay this much for. Like, these kind of QC things are, in my opinion, something that should have never gotten past, especially when Omnigonix came out so much later than the Bad Cube Sun Surge. It had so many opportunities to get it right and get it done better than Bad Cube.
Yeah.
Instead, now it's come out with a product that people unfortunately are not giving a whole lot of great review towards. But I did want to say that, for those who missed their chance on the Sun Surge, because you can't really get the Sun Surge right now, this one, if you, and I'll go through it later, like there's a few things that you can actually fix up. It's basically tightening up. And like again, as I say, you shouldn't have to do that, but if you do really want something to fill in your Sunstreaker fix, there are a couple of things that you can do to this to kind of actually just make it work. That is actually makes it become not as bad. But I mean, it does suffer from some articulation points that are a little bit loose, like the actual legs here. They just have this very loose kind of like the friction joint is just not catching. And then the knees are okay, but because of the looseness here, it suffers from feeling a little bit more floppy than it should. The side to side here on the legs are also, that's something you really want in a robot. And it's unfortunate. Now there are a few things that you can do to fix certain things like that, like nail polish. For if you took this apart with a screwdriver, it's pretty easy. It wouldn't probably flop forward. Unfortunately, the side to side is on a pin, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get friction back into there. But on the whole, if you did fix it up and you didn't, have the chance to get Sun Surge, I think fixing him up would be a really good avenue to go. Let's just get them into car mode first. What do you say? And then
I think that's a good idea.
We can at least get a good comparison in car mode.
I think we've seen this enough of these guys in the robot modes already.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yep. And now we have both of them in their vehicle modes.
I do like the Omnigonix color a little bit better. It's less of the orangey. You can really see, the difference in the color, and also the small little detail changes, like for example how the windows are on both of them.
Yep.
Also, just the proportions are a little bit nicer on the
Yeah.
Omnigonix.
Yeah.
The spoiler, it's much more accurate.
I do like the extra detail that they have on these headlights here.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one's very flat, like there's nothing there at all. I like the chrome, you know, the wheels here. This one isn't chrome, but I think this is chrome overkill in my opinion. I just think it's too much. This looks very clean, and I think it's a very nice touch what they've done here.
Well, I think it's just, again, it comes down to the proportions I was talking about.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can put on the brushed aluminum
Oh,
parts,
nice. Okay, yeah,
right?
it gives you the option.
Yeah, exactly. So just like in bot mode, where you could swap out some of the chrome detailing.
Yeah.
In bot mode, you can do it, you know, the same for the car mode.
Yeah, I think that would be better.
Yeah,
just
but I mean,
clashes.
it still is the proportions is just not, you know,
Yeah.
really there. But I like the chrome because I like the toy colors.
Yeah.
One thing that Bad Cube did do is have the rubber wheels, which is a big difference from the plastic wheels on the Omnigonix. Sun Surge is just there's a few issues with it, definitely, in terms of proportion, and then also the transformation. I mean, it took me this was complicated in a sense, and it was it wasn't like super, I guess, clever in terms of its design, but it was a little bit more elegant, whereas this one suffered a lot from over-engineering.
Oh my god, that was a nightmare to transform.
Yeah, it's kind of like what me and Alex like to call a peg former. Everything has to, and you guys know what I'm talking about out there. Every peg, you have to transform it a certain way, otherwise, if you don't do it in the right order, you don't do the pegs right, it's, you're pushing one peg, another one pops off, and it's just like, you just want to pull your hair out, right?
Oh god.
This one has a lot of little gotchas like that, and once you do it a few times, it's not as hairy, but I can imagine the first couple times, you just kind of just don't want to spend like that much time on trying to figure out why something can't push into a peg, and then you're kind of like wiggling it so it's exactly right. It's an unfortunate thing about the Bad Cube Sun Surge, but in overall quality value, the Sun Surge beats out the Omnigonix like hands down. Even if this was QC'd right, I did like a little bit of the quality of the plastic on the Sun Surge better. The quality of the paint application, Alex, what do you think?
The paint application on this, while I'm not a big fan of this color, is better than this one. There could have been another coat of paint on it.
Yeah, and I mean this comes from painting on clear.
Yeah.
Most of the rest of the vehicle is fine, but when you get into this part, you do notice it can suffer from a little bit of, it's not super noticeable, but when you look into it, then you're like, I really wish to put on an extra coat, or something was treated a little bit better than this one. And yeah, that's kind of, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just quickly, I mean, when you do if you do buy the Omnigonix, you shouldn't have to, but you're also gonna have to buy yourself a small screwdriver. And the screws need tightening, and you'll find actually, and don't over tighten it, you'll find that actually tightening some of the screws gets rid of, I'd say, about 50 to 60% of all the annoying problems. The other issues with the floppiness, some of them can be taken care of by just buying some nail polish. One of the biggest knocks on this is going to be the front here. This piece here, it likes to come off on a lot of it because it has a very weak screw in here. And now if you're gonna tighten up the screws, like I said, just be like mindful, just hand tight, don't over tighten it, otherwise you'll wreck it, okay? Just tighten it ever so little till you can feel a little bit of friction, then stop. So this piece, it comes apart because the screw is not in there enough, and then there's not enough, I feel like, places where they should have just glued it or screwed it in. I like to use this LePage product called like Ultra Gel. Super cheap, you can get it anywhere, Walmart or whatever. Allows you a lot of control over the glue that comes out, and you just give it a little bit of glue in the edges there, I found, and let it dry overnight, and you don't have those problems anymore. It's not going to fall apart on you so easily. You could slide it, the joints in and out to transform it, and then it's actually, you know, after doing all those little fixes I just told you, the only thing you're left over with a little bit of floppiness in the legs in the top part of the thigh, and I'd say it would give you about 90% satisfaction on that figure if you know, did end up buying it or do want to give it a shot. Yeah, that's kind of what I recommend. So there you have it. There's a comparison between the Bad Cube Sun Surge and the Omnigonix Spinout.
Yes. And that's our episode for today. We hope you enjoyed it.
Stay tuned next episode when we take a look at Takara's Diaclone reboot, Dia Battles version 2.
And you might have noticed that for this episode and the previous episode, we got a really cool stop motion animation intro. We'd like to take the opportunity to give a big thank you shout out for Harris for all his awesome work that he provided for us to make that awesome intro happen.
That's right, and he's not the only one that's helped out with the A3U review. We also like to thank Edan. I mean, he's done the bumpers in between each one of our segments. It's been there for a bit. Give another shout out to Edan, as well as our outro. If you guys noticed the awesome looking 3D Grimlock at the end, thanks to Randall for that one. Amazing work by all of our artists in the community. We really love it, and we wouldn't be here without you.
That's right. So once again, thank you to everybody. Thank you to you guys, the viewers, and we hope you guys keep on watching because we got a great show for you guys coming soon. Anyways, as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, Ages 3 and Up, and also follow us on Twitter at Ages 3 and Up. We also got Instagram. Follow us once again at Ages 3 and Up, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
See you next time.
Peace.